Okay, good evening, everybody. Call to order the Chisholm City Council meeting, August 14th, 2024. Susan, would you please take roll call?
Counselor Halverson.
Present.
Counselor McElrath.
Present.
Counselor Thornton.
Here.
Counselor Helva.
Present.
Counselor Ratner.
Here.
Mayor Lance.
Here. All right, Council, we will look to adopt the agenda. We do have some additions here that came in late. I do apologize. We have two under Vern, so we're going to put him first. So he will be the new A. So that's going to be the addition of the para for Kaya Gams and para for Nathan Capo. And then we're going to add number 8 under Stephanie, which will be resolution 0824-67. Authorizing Chisholm, Minnesota to make application to and accept grant funds from IRRR bonds issued per Minnesota laws 2024, chapter 127, article 69, section 15 through 16. And we're just gonna add one more thing under the working session that I'm requesting is to add a sister city. So the information will be on there for discussion after. Perfect. So with that being said, I would look for a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Travis.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Pledge allegiance if you would.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we will start with public participation. So sorry, Mr. Stearns, I had you sign up, but you were already number 1 on the list. So if you would like to start.
Fair enough.
Redundancy, make sure we're right.
Hey, you know, we got everything covered. Good evening, everyone. My name is Bob Stearns. I'm the Director of Operations for Fishing with Vets, and I'm one of the organizers of the Fishing with Vets Mudfest. Before you tonight is a letter from us requesting permission to have the event on September 7th, 2024, downtown Chisholm. We've done this event for 11 years now. As a citywide festival, I believe it's 6th at this point. Nothing has changed as far as our lineup and plans, with the exception of a few modifications of the street dance on the evening times. I spoke with Chief Vern about a few changes, and we are going to move it off of a main street dance and move it to 2nd Street Southwest and do something alongside Tom and Jerry's, sort of like they did for their anniversary party, rather than doing a full city street dance. 2nd Avenue Southwest, sorry. Other than that, once again, we're requesting the city shut down Main Street in the morning for us to line up the ATVs, fire department to come out and hang the flag, police department to escort us out of town and get the ride going. The ride will be going up to Highway 5 Bar and Grill and then the Sportsman's Club for lunch, and then return to town around 4 p.m. During that time, when they're gone, we'll have a car show from 11 to 3 on Main Street like we've done for the last 2 years, and then some other activities and some food vendors downtown with us. Those will all be in the area on 2nd Avenue. So when we reopen the street, hopefully around 3:30 in the afternoon, they won't be impacted at all. They'll be able to stay right in the spot right by their house. I can't tonight if there's any other questions about the event. And to say thank you. The City Council has been extremely supportive of us over the last couple of years. Police Department, Fire Department, everybody at Town Public Works. We can't thank everybody enough for the support we've gotten. Last year, the event itself generated $80,000 in revenue. And that's a real testament to the community in Chisholm and the Ann Range as a whole. Everybody comes up and supports us through sign-ups, raffles, being part of the event. So it's been a spectacular event for us for many years, and we appreciate all the support and look forward to doing it this year with your approval.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Bob. I know it's a great event, and you know, we're very fortunate that you do continue to do it here in town. You know, it's.
We appreciate the support. You guys make it easy.
Any questions or comments for Bob?
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you guys for everything.
Good night, Mr.
Have a great
Stearns.
night. Appreciate it.
Okay, Ms. Salo. Good evening. I know you had a couple questions that you wanted to bring up. I figured it'd be better to do that under public participation.
Actually, with the, in regards to the canopies and the picnic tables in front of my property, I realize it's city property, But there's also, like I said, a county road there with a public safety hazard. We have all of the mining companies' dump trucks going through our truck route in front of the property. You're gonna pave that and you're gonna call it the Veterans Memorial for Children, a park. It's not. It's dangerous. It's unsafe. I can't imagine 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-year-olds sitting at picnic tables while the parents barbecue and have a beer. And where do kids go? I don't know. Have you ever had children? I have. And they're on the road or they're in the water and they get away from you fast. And then there's the semis that go through here. It is a truck route, okay? Which makes it a liability also when they run on my property, see? And my insurance company will only insure me to what I can afford to pay. So now you've given me that issue also. I've already had trouble with vandalism and theft out of my other garage from when my husband passed away. And not just that, but we get the parkers that only park there. They don't do anything else there. They cause trouble. They throw their trash out. I picked it up for years. Okay, that's another issue. But then we've got the drug deals. We have those about 10 o'clock at night, and especially on Friday and Saturday nights. And you can patrol that until hell freezes over, but I can tell you what goes on there is scary, really scary. And you know, we have a beautiful Veterans Memorial that Vita Panipavar put in for our veterans. Helicopters, airplanes, up at the Discovery Center. Do we need another one? And if this was all taking place, see, what really makes me mad is my husband was living when the beautification board said it would not go there. It would go to the park, the disc golf course, where they're desperately needed. The park has a fence. The disc golf course has no canopies. Okay, my grandson 17, yes, he plays disc golf. Matter of fact, he came in 5th in the nations. He's great. They have no canopies, picnic tables. That brings money into this town. People eat here, they drink here, they stay here. Their kids spend the weekend here. I think all those things matter. And I don't know if you noticed, and I'm gonna say this and I'm not being mean. I spent $14,000 taking down trees in Blight that I paid for out of my yard. But I've watched the city around that lake shore take out trees, and in front of April's house, those beautiful birch, those are down. She's got a beautiful view.
They're dead.
I don't care if they're dead or not. They're not Dutch elm, they're not diseased, and actually, you know what? I took down dead trees, they weren't dead. And the lake shore, that's another thing, okay? Is when you start clearing brush off a lake shore, the DNR doesn't like it. It creates a problem for habitat. I don't like the geese either, but you know what? We gotta live with them. They're here. So there's that part of it. But the biggest concern of all is my liability and children. That is not a children's park. It's not a safe place. You've got 4 picnic tables, 2 canopies. I looked up the price on canopies. Menards is charging right now $1,200 for each one. Picnic tables, I don't know for sure. I'm not sure, maybe $200 a piece. So now you've got probably $4,000 into a hazard. But I can tell you positively, when somebody gets hurt there, the county is gonna have a lawsuit, I'm gonna have a lawsuit, and the city's gonna have a lawsuit. And you, Mr. Lindsay, we're gonna figure this out with the county to see exactly if it was a good idea to even pave that to put in there. Okay, but nobody got back with me, unfortunately. And that's what happened with this whole group of people too. Before those went up, nobody got back to Darlene, see? So that didn't happen either. So anyway, that's what I have to say about that. So I think some things have to be reconsidered here, no matter what the cost is or who's gonna absorb the cost. Because I can only afford so much insurance on those front lots. I'm on a limited income. And what I'm saying is, if it's gonna take a 2, 3, or 4-year-old to get run over by one of these big trucks, you're gonna have big headaches. And another thing I'm gonna say is that in all of these cities that have lakes in town, Detroit Lakes, Monaga, up by Cook.
I'm gonna have to stop you, Darlene.
Okay, but nobody has this in front of their properties, they wouldn't dare do it.
Okay. Mr. Lindsay, would you
Thank you.
please?
Yeah, and I can speak just briefly, Mayor. So when this topic was brought up before, I did indicate to the city that I would go back and evaluate it, make sure that the process was appropriate, and that the city's not exposed to any unreasonable risk. I have gone back and done that analysis. So, and I'll clarify, it's never the role of a city attorney to tell people whether things are good ideas or not. We assess legal risk and evaluate whether the laws have been followed. With the review that I've conducted, it appears to me that the processes were followed appropriately. This park or these pavilions and the tables are put in a place where they're legally able to be. The city has appropriately exercised its discretion, and I don't see that there's any exposure to any undue risk to the city.
Okay. Thank you,
But
Brad.
what about my property?
All right, moving on. Council reports. Councilor Halverson. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. I attended our park board meeting, numerous Red Head committee meetings, our Red Head open house at the city hall here, and our special meeting. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Marty. Councilor Fountain. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. I don't have a formal report, but I did get a wonderful tour at the public safety building by the Mr. Mayor, so thank you for that. That was awesome. And I also did probably 8 or 9 hours of research and calls and information on some things in the packet. So thank you.
Excellent. Councilor Baki. Good evening.
Good evening. Great to see everybody. It's been a while. Great to see you all. Just wanted to note a couple things. We had a film here in town the last couple weeks, which was pretty freaking cool. I mean, that's what sets Chisholm apart is things like that. And so I just want to thank Robert and all of his compadres who came here and did the film and the space, which, by the way, that was I think the first time I've been on the second level of the police station where their base was. So pretty cool to finally experience that, I guess. So that was really cool. And then I just want to give a plug to the cheerleaders at the school. There's a phenomenal Blue Streak logo that you can get on your driveway or sidewalk now. And I think every business and every household in this city should have one.
Sign me up.
So
How do we
get
do
a
it?
hold of the cheerleading, Marissa Pacenda or Jen Showalter, and they'll hook you up. But I had mine done today, and man, that red and blue is pretty phenomenal on your sidewalk. So that's my plug.
Thank you, Travis. Councilor Raha. Good evening.
Good evening. I attended an HRA meeting. I was not able to attend the last 2 police commission meetings, unfortunately. And I do have another HRA meeting tomorrow. I believe you were sent my written council report last time, as I was not able to make the meeting. So I don't really have much of a report, but if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer anything.
It was only one commission meeting, we didn't have a quorum for the last meeting.
Councilor Oliva. Good evening.
Good evening. I attended the PUC meeting, sanitary sewage district meeting, a garden meeting, special council meeting, the EDA retreat on Monday. I went to that Redhead planning meeting as well. Worked as election judge at Heritage Manor on the 6th and election day yesterday, and I attended National Night Out. And we have another Lake Street market coming up here on Thursday, August 22nd from 3 to 8 p.m.
Thank you. Okay, I'm not sure, I don't have a whole lot to report on. It does seem like we've been really busy, but I did miss the EDA meeting the other day. Work had taken me other places. I do want to start just by saying thank you to everybody who went out and voted yesterday and expressed their civic I'd say duty, but it's a privilege, so thank you for everyone that did that. Congratulations to everyone who moved on. I think the top 3 voter getters were our incumbents, so it kind of shows that the people in the community are paying attention to what's going on. I've had a lot of people reaching out talking about the construction in town, all the different things. It's definitely a move of progress in updating infrastructure. So, I think things are doing very well here. Right before the meeting, I had someone call out Vern to point out your officers. I know you have a lot of new officers, but people are pointing out the assistance that they received. Has gone above and beyond. I continue to receive calls of our public works, our first responders, our fire, and our police officers. So, supervisors in this town are doing wonderful, and thank you all very much. I do want to point out two things that are going to be coming up. I have to apologize twice here. I will be missing the Airport Authority meeting on Monday. We do need a quorum for that, so if anyone's not going to be able to make that meeting, I would like you to please reach out to Susan and let her know. And, Cheyenne, you will be chairing that meeting. And also, I will be out of the state on our second meeting of September. We'll be down at the Mine Expo, the national conference, and so I will not be here on the 25th of September. I was debating whether or not I was going to go because of the council meeting, but I decided to pull the trigger and attend. So we'll have to plan accordingly for that one. That's it for me, unless anyone has any questions. Okay, moving on to ambulance director, Tiffany. Good. Okay. Fire Chief Chris couldn't be here tonight. He did want me to update everyone with, so the second quarter calls, we had 60. First 6 months, we had 101 calls. This summer here has been, we're gonna have to come up with a new name for these storms that we're having, because 100 year, 500 years is becoming way too sporadic here. But June 16th, 18th, I believe it was, we were out with a number of calls, helping people with flooded basements. A couple weeks ago, we had the storm that rolled through, knocking down trees and power lines. We were in Hibbing for 4 hours that night. Hibbing was just a mess, and they expressed their gratitude for us to come and help with them. It was just, it was something of a nightmare. So I do want to thank all of our first responders that are coming out and going above and beyond, and definitely being there for your communities. So thank you. Also with that, we just had our annual pump testing. It's complete and all our engines had passed, so that's great news. The fire department, ambulance service, police department, we all attended the National Night Out. So we would like to thank the folks who put on that and invited us out in town here and in Balkan. And the fire department would like to extend their thanks to Larry and your crew for helping get rid of all the different materials that weren't coming over to the new public safety building. So thank you, Larry. We know you're busy, but we appreciate it. So if anyone has any questions for the fire chief, you will have to reach out to him. Vern, police chief. If you have something to say.
Well, I'm not sure if I should say this or not. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Is that mining symposium? Is that the one in Vegas?
Thanks for pointing that out.
You're right. Yeah, I feel bad. Is there room to take your answer, President?
Absolutely.
All right.
No, only 2 other counselors.
This is the first time I can say this. Today we officially took down our advertisement for our police officers. August 23rd, we will start our 13th. It's the very first time in 8 years that we will be considered full staff. Knock on wood that we remain that way, but it looks like all field training should be over for our new officers around December, and so we should start the first year with a full accompaniment, which I've never seen. So not since we've up and gotten a few more officers. So it's been an uphill battle, but it looks like it might be over for a while anyways. So it's kind of nice to say that. Had I thought of it, we could have gotten the last resolution on that we have to do for the other 2 officers, but we just kind of moved along today. So it's good news.
It's great news. No, and we got a whole bunch of new officers, obviously with ties to the community and vested interest to the progress that our community is making. So it's fantastic.
And we got a lot of room there now, so you fit them all in.
Yeah, April.
Oh yeah, Mr. Mayor, can I Chief, is there a way that we can get some signs where the public would just like know where to go to get help? Like to the police?
Wayfinding.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny
Is
because
there?
who was it that came the other day? Came to the ambulance. Everybody comes to the ambulance door and is like, yeah, we probably should have a main entrance sign saying
Yeah.
it's the lakeside. Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea. I thought it was kind of obvious you have to come in that entrance to see it, but it sticks out, but it, yeah, probably isn't as obvious, so that might not be a bad idea to main entrance this way. Yeah, she's a leader. She needs to see everyone that comes. So they're mostly for you anyways. But yeah, that's not a bad idea. We'll work with Larry. Where's Larry? We'll work. You guys can get some kind of signposts or something.
Something.
I don't think we can put them on the existing.
Maybe even visitor parking might help.
Yeah, yeah.
Something.
Something pointing in that direction. So, yeah, absolutely. I think it's not a bad idea because a lot of people are lost.
Because I
When the
didn't
county
know.
attorneys come to the end, they're like, they're texting me, where do I go?
Yeah.
Big sign on your door, police.
Well, the
can't
it's
see
on
it.
our door, but you can't see it from the door. Yeah. There is no there.
No, on a sign on the driveway or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh.
yeah. So, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
that's a good idea.
great. Thanks.
That's a good idea. So,
And the facility is amazing. You guys, wow.
thank you, thank you. Everybody that's come and seen it so far has been extremely impressed. Like I said, I had county attorneys there today. They're like, this is beautiful and modern, and they were very impressed. So, and all the other departments. I'm sure you've had firemen and ambulance people come around, and I've had other departments. They're like, this is what we all strive for. So it's a testament to the citizens of Chisholm, and happy to be there. So, like all
Absolutely.
the other departments. So,
Perfect. Thank you, Chief.
thank you.
Building official, Mandy. City engineer, Jim. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Just a quick status update so I can hopefully keep you informed. A couple of weeks ago, we had the pre-construction conference on our 2024 Mill and Overlay project, and the approximate schedule is around Labor Day. It may be before or after, just a few days. They estimate it'll take them about 6 to 8 days to complete all the alleys, the streets, and the parking lot. And I did send out a letter to everybody that was in the feasibility study, including those that were on streets, that just so they would know that they're no longer have a pending assessment on the assessment rolls for them, and letting the people that are going to have work done in their alley or street know about when that's going to be happening. So approximately Labor Day area is when that mill and overlay schedule is scheduled for. And then a brief update on our 5th Street South. Keep the rain away for a little while right now. As you see, they made great progress this week. The street is excavated between 1st and 2nd Avenue Southwest. Yesterday they were putting down the fabric. Today they were putting down the gravel. And if the weather holds, they're going to have a concrete crew in here on Friday, pouring curb and gutter, getting that done. They were excavating between Central Avenue and 1st Avenue today, so I would expect probably by tomorrow they may have that pretty well ready for curb and gutter as well. The water and sewer, storm sewer, are all done from Central Avenue down to the lake, or 1st Avenue Southeast, and along 1st Avenue Southeast from 5th, half block south down to the alley. But we have to hold off on reinstalling or replacing the sewer and the water in the alley until we get the street in front of those properties up and serviceable, so people have a place to park and have access to their properties. Once that street gravel is on, the fabric and the gravel is on before the curb and gutter gets in, then they'll go back and finish putting in that sewer and water down the alley. So things are progressing well. You just need continued dry weather. So I would anticipate that hopefully by the end of September that project will be done, including bituminous, with the exception of the bituminous squaring course that would go on probably next June. So with that, I would have to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Public Works Supervisor, Larry. Good evening.
Evening, Mayor, Council, thank you. Just a couple quick updates. The seasonals, it's an awkward year, not what I'm used to. They're almost all done already. They're either in sports or they're college, so we only have a couple holdovers, so most of our projects are winding up like, well, we're pretty much done weed whipping for the year. So if you see some slight changes in normal, maybe in the parks and stuff like that, we'll still be mowing and stuff, but some of the little add-ons will be kind of faulted already for the year. So kind of a weird year. Haven't had that in, this is my 6th summer, so. And then the dead elm trees becoming a problem. The public's starting to notice and call now and ask questions what they can do and stuff. And I've just been giving them numbers for contractors to help take down trees and stuff. And there's really nothing we can do. I met with 2 foresters now, and it's really, the elms are just basically mostly gonna die. So, and you'll start to notice, just go across the causeway and you'll see the dead ones that are there that we can't even get to. So we're focusing on the ones that are at the campground that are falling on campers or around the park, you know, that could fall on people walking, stuff like that. So we're taking the big rest trees right away and doing what we can there. So that continues to be a problem. We're a little short-handed, so, you know, these fall projects will get delayed a little bit. You know, sweeping's a little behind right now, and some other little things, but we gotta wait till the leaves come down anyway. But we are a little short-handed in public works again, but I wish I was a little bit closer to burn status, but we'll get there closer to winter, so. That's the hope. With your support, we'll have a new employee starting on Monday, so that'll be great and super helpful as well, so. And then I continue to gather information and look for engineers or specialty people for our $90,000 storm sewer grant that we've received and we'll be working on. So looking forward to that. And you know, with that, any questions, reach out anytime. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. Parks, Trails, Rec Director. Good evening, Bridget.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. I'm going to follow up on what Larry was saying about the Dutch elm really quick. If there is an elm tree on your land and you're part of the public resident and you want to keep that elm and you can get ahead of it, there is an injection that you can purchase. And I don't know the amount or anything like that, but there is preventative care that can be done. It might be expensive, but that wouldn't be something we'd look at for the city to do on public land. But if you're a tree lover and you have one in your yard, I think you can look into it. My update is on Chisholm Summer Rec Program numbers. There was 129 this year versus 127 last year, so we were up 2. I was glad to see that. I did think we were down a couple, but we were up a couple. And flag football registration is open, and 7 kids have signed up so far, so that's grades 4 through 6, hoping that we can get a big group at flag football this year. The youth center posting for the youth center attendant is still open, so we're looking for up to 3 attendants there. Spread the word. I think it's a great job for somebody who's 18 plus, maybe 19, 20, who's going into education or something for a future degree or thinking about that. And 2, a shout out to the summer rec staff this year. They were phenomenal. Our coordinators were outstanding and the specialists were as well. So it was a really fun summer with them. And then to share Redhead news, rock solid, the contractors are on site and they are starting to do work now. So if you're out on the trail system, be aware of them and steer clear. If you see any equipment out there, just go around it and be aware of your surroundings. So we have work started. Any questions for me?
Great news. Thank you, Bridget.
Thank you. Thank you.
Library Supervisor. Katie, good evening.
Hi, good evening, everyone. We're starting to wrap up summer programming and starting to shift into more of our fall agenda items. Our intern, Mackenzie, her last day is next week already. She's been a huge help with the influx of patronage and just summer programming. So just thank you to Council for the continued support of that summer hire. It makes a huge difference for us. And just a thank you to Mackenzie for her hard work and her willingness to jump feet first into the organized chaos of summer. Next week, we have some Celtic music with Will Bray. It's a legacy program that's scheduled for Wednesday, August 21st. It's a choir. From 11 to 12, this will be taking place right after story time. The duet will be playing some harps, wooden flutes, and various bagpipes, expressing a spark of Irish and Scottish tunes. The rest of the month, we're going to be focusing on some in-house cleaning, dusting bookshelves, and working through some collection inventory. And then just a quick update on Troll Park and the mural. QR codes went live in the space. So far, we've received 36 completed surveys. So if you wanted to interact with the space and leave feedback on kind of the future plans for the park, I'd invite you to participate in the survey. So you can go into the physical space and scan the QR codes. Otherwise, there's printout forms available at the library. So we would love to hear from you on our future vision for that. And then we are in the process of finalizing the call out to artists for that mural. The feedback provided from the surveys has been super helpful in that process. So again, just a thank you to everyone that's taking the time to fill out those surveys. And we're hopeful to get the call out by the end of the month and start looking for an artist.
Excellent.
That's all I have.
Katie?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
City Attorney, Brian, good evening.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. No formal report, but I am happy to answer questions if the council has any.
I got a question. Where are we at on Blake from our last report from last month?
I don't have an update.
Okay.
I don't have an update for you tonight, but I will get with the chief and we'll get you an update.
Okay.
I can tell you, on our end,
Chief?
for lack of things.
A lot of people at home interested in this.
But I'm usually loud enough that they can hear me. Our guys, now that we're settled back in the office, our guys picked it back up since we didn't have CSOs in Abner Fair. They've been hitting quite regularly now between both here and Beal. So our guys will pick it up and we're going to carry it through the fall. So a little late, a little slow getting to it this year, but we're on it now. So.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
My name's Tim Wages.
No.
Sit down.
Soon enough, we'll make you back up. City Clerk, Treasurer, Interim, City Administrator, Stephanie, good evening.
Good evening. We had a good day in elections yesterday. I want to thank Christy and Denise for all their work on that, especially Christy. She really is knowledgeable on the election, does a great job. And the election clerks that have been helping, they are also the judges. It was awesome to have participation, thanks to Jed. And it was a good day. Also, interim clerk no more come Monday. Devin is starting, so he will be here starting on Monday at a full-time basis. He will be coming around to meet the department heads. If any council is out and about and wants to stop by to meet him before the next council meeting, please do that. So he will be getting his feet wet and start right away with meeting with the auditors and moving forward. That's all I have.
Excellent. Thank you, Steph. Any questions? If not, we will move on to the consent agenda. Includes a list of bills, communications, July 1st Planning Commission meeting, public hearing, July 10th, Chisholm Fire Department business meeting minutes, minutes of previous city council meetings, July 10th and July 22nd, payroll and overtime. Unless there's any corrections, would look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion.
I have one, Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
Page 9 of the meeting minutes from July 10th. Item number 3 is Eric Carlson, not Eric Larson.
Carlson.
Yep.
Okay. All right, look for a motion to approve the consent agenda with the change under the regular meeting minutes, July 10th, update to Eric Carlson.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Jed.
Support.
Thank you, Travis. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. No unfinished business, so we will move on to Chief Manor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, and a big thank you to Susan on this. I've been chief for 14 years and I've hired a couple of people and I forget every single time. As a matter of fact, she was the one that said, hey, don't you have para resolutions So in front of you, the first one is resolution 0824-65 to the declaration for tire dams to join para repair, police and fire repair.
Council, I'd look for a motion to approve resolution 0824-65.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Marty.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And the second one, 0824-66, the declaration for Nathan Capo, Officer Nathan Capo to be in repair.
Thank you.
Make that motion.
Thank you, April.
Support.
Thank you, Travis. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to Mandy.
I just want to clarify a couple things that came up from the first reading of the ordinance amendment, 153.04. And it came up that the building code did not address shipping containers, and it does not. However, in the event somebody wanted to build a tiny home from a shipping container, what would happen is they would apply for a building permit and a plan review would be done, and it would have need snow load, wind load. It would be, an architect and engineer would have to sign off on everything that it meets code. So once you change that shipping container, it's no longer a shipping container, then the building code would state it to be a tiny home. So I just wanted to clarify that information. Otherwise, I am just requesting the approval of the second reading to amend the ordinance 153.04.
Council, I would look for a motion to approve second reading to amend ordinance 153.04.
I will make the motion.
Thank you, Travis.
Support.
Thank you, Jed. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
One opposed? Motion carries. At this point with that, I would?
Yep, you could actually entertain a motion.
I would enter.
It'd be proper to entertain a motion to approve the change.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the change to ordinance 153.04.
I will also make that motion.
Thank you, Travis.
Support.
Thank you, Jed. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
One opposed. Motion passes. Moving on.
Do we need to do a separate
Yep, so now we're gonna do the reading approved.
So I would just request that we would approve the second reading of the amendment of ordinance 153.07.
All right, council.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Jed.
Support.
Thank you, Travis. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
might be a typo on number 8. Whenever it's at.
Yeah.
Just a typo, just one word.
Yeah. We can get that.
Okay. Just one small typo in item number 8, page 23. First
Okay.
line, looks like it's supposed to be, but must be painted.
Oh,
But must be painted.
yep. All right, Jed, if you'd amend your motion to clarify the spelling.
I'll make my amended motion.
Thank you, Jed.
Yeah, I'm fine with amending my second.
Thank you, Travis. Any further discussion? Good catch, Marty. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
One opposed, motion carries. This time I would look for a motion to
Approve the change.
approve the change.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Marty.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
Nay.
carries. Sorry, one opposed.
They know why.
Nathan. Okay, moving on.
Okay, at the August 5th Planning Commission meeting, the Planning Commission held a public hearing to hear the rezoning request of Randy and Mandy Nenis, 400 First Avenue Northwest. It's the old Adams Clinic building across the street. It's currently zoned ED, which is existing business. The new property owners applied to rezone it to R2 for residential for a 4-apartment building complex there. The public hearing was held. We did have quite a bit of neighboring property owners show up. Everybody just was curious as to what the project was going to entail. There was nobody to speak in opposition. We do have Mandy Nenis here in the audience today. If there's any questions, you can see the attached plan for the building. And I just would ask for support to rezone the property from EB to R2.
All right, council. This obviously it went through the planning commission, and it seems like it's got support. So I'll look for a motion to approve that change.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Support. Thank you, Travis. Any further discussion?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Took the words out of them all.
Yeah.
Congratulations, and yeah, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Good luck.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Jim.
Only 4 items this one.
I don't, boy.
First one, if you'll turn to page 33, and page 34 is the change order number 2 for our 5th Street South Station, and I think hopefully the request for council action on page 33 explains the situation. At the time of designing that project, where the new lift station is going at that northwest quadrant of 5th Street and 1st Avenue Southeast, it's basically where the old driveway was. And we are eliminating that driveway, and we're going to be working with Larry regrading that lot, and we've actually installed 4 sets of services to serve that 150 feet of frontage that we had along 5th Street that was a school property, 133 feet of frontage, and then the 50 feet of frontage that we purchased from that gentleman here a couple months ago. So in order to accommodate that site and not make a stormwater sump right there, so it drains to the streets, we needed to adjust the height of that lift station manhole by 18 inches. And therefore, on the following sheets, you see the labor, equipment, and materials that amounted to that change order amount of $3,799.79. With that, I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have, but would recommend approval of that change order, and there is no change in the construction schedule for that project.
All right, council. And definitely something that we need to do to keep the progress going that we're trying to build down there. So I'd look for a motion to approve change order number 2 in the amount of $3,799.79.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Jed.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. And then if you'll turn to page 37, we have the application number 5 for work completed in July on that 5th Street South improvement project. You want to go over to pages 39 and 40. You see the actual pay application, and in the middle columns of both pages, you see the quantity this period, the amount this period. So you can see what work is being done. Again, most of that is probably going to be sewer and water, but on its section from Central Avenue to 1st Avenue Southeast. And then in the final 2 columns, you see the total work completed to date that we'll go back to when we look at the summarization. And then Travis, when we get to page 41 to page 42, last month you had questions regarding the financing or the financial moving of monies where we've got paying for materials on hand. And just as an example, for instance, the only two items left that have not been installed to date are the geotextile fabric, which are actually being installed now in August as we speak. But you see the invoice price of those materials at those quantities amounted to about $27,400. When we get back to that summary sheet, you'll see that that is added in to the work constructed as well. When those materials actually get installed, and we'll probably see that in next month's pay application, the Type 5 geotextile fabric, once installed at that quantity, amounts to about $16,000, and the Type 6 geotextile fabric, when installed, amounts to about $24,800. So this month you'll see $27,000 in materials on hand. Next month that'll be totally gone, but we'll be adding in $40,800 in construction work actually done. You're going to see a net increase then of about that 27 to, what did I say, 40,000. So there's going to be a net increase, $14,000. Yeah. I don't know if I've cleared up the muddy road yet or not at all.
Well, I don't know that you have either, but I've learned that everyone up here apparently is on the right page except me, so I believe them.
All right. Then if you
I believe in the team, even though I don't agree with it, but I believe in the team.
Clear as mud.
So then if you'll turn back to page 38, please, you'll see the original contract, and until we have, next month, we'll see the change order that you just approved previously. But as of this pay application through the end of July, the original contract amount has not changed in the amount of $2,266,700. Then, if you go back and review at the bottom of pages 39 and 40, you'll see the work completed, total work completed in those final two columns totals $1,217,687.02. Then that's the stored materials, that's the geotextile fabric that we were just talking about, amounting to just under $27,400. So the total cost of work completed plus materials stored on site is $1,245,081.36. We retain 5%, which amounts to that $62,254.07. We've made previous payments, as you see, of just under $781,900. So the amount due for work and materials on site for the month of July amounts to $400,930.12. With that, I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have, and we will recommend approval of that payment to TNT in the amount of $400,930.12.
All right, council, there's no questions. I'd look for a motion to approve pay application number 5, $400,930.12.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Marty.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. And then if you'll turn to page 43, specifically, if you'll go to page 44 and 45, in the same format that we've been going through in the past months. Excuse me. Looking at column G, you'll see the work completed during this period. This would again be during July of 2024. Excuse me, adding up the labor and materials that were installed or completed during July amounts to that $301,410.98. Multiply that by that 1.75%, which is the fee paid to A&P, which amounts to, you can't hardly read it, so I printed it again, it's $274.69. And then if you go to column I, the total work completed and stored on site, adding up everything that's within the bracket, which is again all the labor and materials, but excluding different fees and permit fees and so insurance and so forth. When you add up everything that's within brackets, it's that number that you see at the bottom of the sheet of $8,700,977.62. We multiply that by the 5%, which is the retaining that we'll see as we go back to that summary sheet on page 44. And you'll also see at the bottom of that column where it adds up all the materials, labor, equipment, plus all the fees and so forth. That total work completed, fees, permits and so forth, totals $10,552,035.65. Then utilizing those numbers, and going back to page 44, you see the original contract has not changed of $11,199,947. The total work completed to date that we just reviewed is at $10,552,035.65. From that, we retain the 5%, which is that number that we just reviewed as well of $435,048.88. So the total earned less retainage is that $10,116,986.77, less the previous payments of $9,825,371.65. So the current payment due is $291,615.12. I would recommend that amount for your approval. As I understood in my last conversation with Brendan Gould, anticipate this is still a partial pay estimate. We hopefully will be receiving a final pay application next month. At this point, the generator had just been delivered, had not yet been installed, and I think that's really the last remaining factor that's out there. So hopefully next month we'll see the final pay application for this project. With that, I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Just, I have a question, Mr. Mayor. It's just say there needed to be some changes that in the building that were done. Just say. So what happens then? Do we have did they have like a year to do that? To fix it?
Are you talking about warranty and repair work or something like that?
Like if it was in the building and plan.
I don't know specifically that. Most of this stuff will have at least a 1-year warranty period on it. And then I would imagine a lot of the equipment probably has 2, 5, 10-year warranties on it. I don't know the specifics, April, but there will be warranties, and I would imagine it's just like any other construction project that there is that warranty period of 1 or 2 years. I don't know specifically. Stephanie, do you know? I don't remember that portion of the contract.
Yeah, I don't have the specifics either, but it's a 1-year warranty, and then like Jim said, different equipment's going to have different warranties on it based on what the equipment is. But yeah, so we still are in contact with AP, and there's still kinks that are being worked out through the building, and when those problems do array, we do work with them, and contractors come out and fix those.
I would imagine there'll be a walkthrough again as we approach that 1-year warranty period, if that's what it is, to develop the punch list, to get those things corrected, added, whatever needs to be adjusted, which would probably be about next June, May, or probably about May or June, I would guess that they will do a final walkthrough on it again.
Awesome. Then we can get through winter and just also see what's going on, Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm assuming there'll be a final walkthrough. There's another one coming up at the end of this week, just like that just came through just to make sure everything is running right. So they've been, and AP's been really good and responsive for any questions that we have or and concerns. So they're going to be walking through it already this week just to make sure everything's functioning the way it's supposed to, especially after we had that power outage. Changed a few things, so they're like, let's take care of these things now. So they've been really good at addressing anything.
All right, council, I'd look for a motion to approve pay application number 17, the amount of $291,615.12.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Jed.
Support.
Thank you, Marty. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Then if you'll turn page 46, 47. Bids were received this past Friday on the Thomasonian Memorial Arch. see on those pages, there is a letter of recommendation as well as the bid form, as the documents that need to be submitted with the bid, along with a copy of the bid tabulation on page 50. 3 bids were received, and as you see, the lowest responsible bidder is TNT Construction Group of Grand Rapids in the amount of $357,800. I would be happy to try and answer any questions that you might have, though I am not the engineer. Basically, the city is just serving as the fiscal agent with Witsit being the architect engineer on this project. With that, I would recommend approval of the low bid TNT Construction Group of $357,800.
All right, council, I'd look for a motion to approve resolution number 024-59, awarding the project to TNT Construction in the amount of $357,800.
And did you get the project in specs? Did you get all the information for that?
Yes, yeah, we reviewed the plans, the specifications.
And I know Marty had asked about at another council meeting if it, just to make sure it was, the height was,
Clearance.
clearance.
Oh, yeah, I did respond, and they were checking on that and making the adjustments. They did have their design people review that, and the relocated arch was far enough back that it was not causing a sight distance problem for approaching vehicles coming westbound of
vertical clearance too.
Vertical and the sight distance triangle as well, Marty.
Okay.
Thank you.
What surprised me was the variation in bids on this. It was quite a spread.
Right, yeah, for sure.
Is this a 25 project?
I think
Nope, it's starting now.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, April.
Support.
Thank you, Travis. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Public Works, Larry, good evening. Again. A little relief coming.
Very, very helpful, thank you. All right. Okay, with that, I appreciate it very much. If you support resolution number 0824-60 to appoint Scott Danielson to Public Works Lead Buildings Parks person.
Excellent. Hey, council, I'll look for that motion.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Travis.
Support.
Thank you, Jed. Any further discussion? Congratulations, Scott.
Thank you.
Chisholm.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Looking forward to you all meeting Scott and seeing him on our projects in our parks and buildings, so. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
All right, Bridget.
I have a contract I'm asking to enter into. It's on page 55. In your packet, it's with Stratelligent is how you say it. Stratelligent is the company owned by Aaron Hodala out of Deerwood, Minnesota. He's the guy behind Cayuna.com, Adventure Town. We are wanting to enter into a consulting contract with him so that he can come in and sit at the Redhead committee meetings, go to the EDA committee meetings, and determine the best path forward for wayfinding and connecting Redhead into the downtown. He has the background with Cayuna being a bike town, and understands through multiple conversations that I've had with him where Chisholm is at and where we're projecting to go. This $25,000 consulting fee is a cap at $25,000. If we reach agreement between EDA and the Redhead Committee on the path forward, we can end this consulting early and then start a new contract if desired with him on design work for wayfinding, but this is just consulting to begin with. And this would be covered through the IRRR connectivity grant.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Bridget. Now, this is something that's been talked about ever since we acquired the campground, you know, so I think this would be a great addition. So I'd look for a motion to approve, enter into a contract with Stratelligent.
Intelligent.
All right. And to not to exceed the amount of $25,000.
I will make the motion.
Thank you, Travis.
Support.
Thank you, Jed. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Bridget.
And the next request I have is to hire Matt Nelson as our next flag football coordinator. He would be following 20 years of Rich Neubauer, completing this task each year. It's kind of an informal process from what I've gathered from the Parks and Rec board, and we've been lucky to have Rich sign on each year for 20 years. It's a position that is a couple days a week, and it only lasts the 4 weeks, so finding the right person for it is not going to be easy. I knew that, but we identified with the help of Vern to reach out to Matt, and Matt has been working with us since he's been a police officer for Chisholm at the youth center, so I've seen him working with youth. He's a great fit, and he also has a very strong football background, so I think it would be a wonderful addition to our flag football if we could hire Matt. The amount, it's a lump sum amount, it's not hourly, it's just the $700 for the season to get the kids ready and progress them into our football program at Chisholm High School.
Make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, April.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
All right, moving on. Stephanie.
Good evening. The first thing I have on the agenda tonight is resolution number 0824-61. This resolution is requiring the tally of write-in votes only if the write-in votes are greater than a ballot candidate's total votes. So basically, in the past, we used to have to count every write-in vote on any ballot. And now the law has changed. If we have a resolution from support from the council, we only have to count the write-in votes if that number is equivalent to any of the candidates that are on the ballot. So it will save a lot of time for our judges and during election night, during the primary election. So I request the support of that.
Okay. And council, I'd look for a motion to approve resolution 024-61.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Jed.
Support.
Thank you, Travis. Further discussion?
This will add tremendous, save tremendous time, big time.
Marty, question?
How do you know if you don't count them?
Right.
It tallies on your machine.
Oh,
How many write-ins you
yeah. Oh, I
have.
see.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So you'll just calculate that and then how many of the other votes there are.
Okay, all right.
And they usually don't come close.
Yeah.
Is it only, they're only offering this because we are a smaller city?
No.
So I think after it goes through the machine, it says there's 1,500 write-in votes and somebody that's on the ballot only got 700, then you're gonna go through and you're gonna
Yeah.
count each write-in vote.
Yep.
You don't have to count the Mickey Mouse votes, Donald Duck, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Yep. Unless there's as many votes for a candidate.
Right.
Cross your fingers, so. All right. Any further questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next, Minnesota PFA grant loan agreement.
As you know, we've been working with PFA for funding for 5th Street, which is well on its way. So we're finalizing that. The first item we have on the agenda is the Minnesota PFA grant and loan agreement for 5th Street South sanitary sewer improvements. This agreement provides grant in the amount of $761,803, and 30-year loan in the amount of $190,451 at the annual interest rate of 2.398%. We're looking for approval for this to move forward for the bond purchase and loan agreement. This is the final step. Jim's been working diligently, and Susan with PFA to get this finalized.
All right, council, I'll look for a motion to, for the approval of the attached PFA bond purchase and loan agreement.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Marty.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The second item, the next item I have on the agenda is the second part of that PFA program that we've been working through, and it's a loan agreement for Fifth Street South water main improvements. This is a loan in the amount of $744,101 from the state's drinking water revolving fund. We do have it amortized over the next 20 years because that is the rate that we can go at 2.067% annually.
Excellent. And council, I would look for a motion to approve the attached drinking water state revolving fund loan in the amount of $774,101 at the rate of 2.067.
Make the motion.
Thank you, April.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next item I have on the agenda that we have already had a verbal commitment on was the approval of the Apex Guarantee Energy Savings Agreement for the Chisholm Marina Curling Club. We've had this in your packet a few times now. We've had multiple meetings on it. I've also met with our staff and met with the members of the curling club in the arena to get everybody's input on this project. It's fully funded by grant funding. Our next steps is to move forward with the Apex Guarantee Energy Savings Agreement. I'm looking for approval on that.
All right, council, I'll look for a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Travis.
Support.
Thank you, Jed. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And give us 1 second here while we get set up. We do have Sarah with us tonight from the Children's Dental Services.
Sarah, just 1 second here. Okay, I'm just getting our, can you hear me, Sarah?
Yeah, I can. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, Sarah.
So I have had some conversations with Sarah. They're looking at a lot on downtown Chisholm. There's a current building there for sale, and then there's a city-owned lot next door that they're looking at purchasing both and expanding their business of Children's Dental Services. Sarah, if you want to just give a background of who you are and what you want to bring to Chisholm and what your design plan is.
Yes, sounds great. Thanks again for having me. And I'll give a little background about the history of Children's Dental Services and my history as well. So we were established in 1919, so we're a 104-year-old nonprofit that delivers dental services targeting low-income kids. And since 2009, we've been working on the Iron Range in partnership with United Way of Northeast Minnesota. We go into the schools, Head Start centers, the WIC clinics, all kinds of places where we set up our portable equipment and deliver dental services on site. And last year, our close partner, Aaron Shea from United Way, approached us saying that Chisholm and the Iron Range area really needs and deserves its own dental clinic targeting low-income kids and families. And just a little about that issue, there's a severe crisis in access to dental care, not even just for low-income folks. It can be really hard to get in there. We've got a workforce shortage, real scarcity. And so this was identified through a task force effort by United Way that a bricks and mortar clinic should be established. And as a longtime partner, we were considered for that. And, who am I? I've been the director now. I'm in my 25th year. I'm not a dentist. If I was a dentist, I'd be using my skills to actually fix teeth, which is what is needed most. I'm a former social worker and legal aid attorney, and I'm not a stranger to the Iron Range. My mom her main name is Mary Charmely, and she's from Mountain Iron, and my dad is Merle Wojcik from Virginia. A lot of times when I go to these meetings, people had my Aunt Loretta for English in Virginia. They went to high school there. But my mom said to me early on, when I was a kid in the 1940s, I would walk across the street and get my care at the school, and I got a full range of care, and you need to do the same for your community. So I have a personal investment in wanting to give back to the community and improve dental access. So regarding this specific opportunity, we've been looking around now for several months for a building that would be good for housing dental. And we actually have been looking at a clinic building before, and that got sold, and we've just been looking around, and then we identified 20 West Lake Street. We visited it in July with we brought in a structural engineer and a dental specialist because we need to know that a building is strong enough to hold the dental equipment and the plumbing that we need, and it is. So that's great. One thing is that because of workforce shortages, we like to build the housing for visiting workforce. We hire locally as much as we can, but we want to have a place where a traveling dentist or dental therapist could stay if they come up to do services. Even though 20 West Lake Street looks like it's a two-story building, it's not. It's wide open in there. They think the inspector thought that the windows on top are really actually decorative. There's no evidence that there was ever a second floor up there. And with the lot next door available, the opportunity for us would be actually to have more dental on the first floor, recognizing the rule that it's zoned for business on the first floor. We could build a second floor for workforce housing, and that's what we want to do. I can formally, legally commit that we absolutely have no interest in putting a parking lot there. We would be utilizing the space specifically for this dental clinic. And, I provided a lot of documents, but a little more about sort of our sustainability and our reach. In the back is 25 West Superior Street in Duluth. This is a building that we purchased during the pandemic, actually, because again, all of our kiddos that we serve in Duluth, we have 4,000 patients of record. Schools closed, there's nowhere to serve them. So that's another really an imperative about having our own space. If the school's closed, if there's a flu outbreak going around, whatever, the kids deserve a place to go to get their care. So similar, this is in the downtown Duluth Historic District. We got funds from the Minnesota Historical Society to renovate it. If you drive down to Duluth, drive down the Main Street, take a look at it. It's really a beautiful building. And we just have a huge commitment to investing in town centers, livability, bringing beauty and vibrance back to the communities, along with being a health resource. So that was a lot. I will pause and just answer any questions or provide more details.
Okay, well, thank you very much, sir. I mean, obviously, it's something that is great for the community. It's great for the residents and citizens around us. My only thought, obviously, I have just a little bit of hindrance just watching and being on the council here for 6 years and worried about what does happen in the future and just, making sure that things follow through. Would you be open to, entertaining or entering into a develop agreement with the city of Chisholm with the purchase of this property. Basically just saying that if your development does not happen, obviously we'll give you a certain amount of time, but that this does come back to the city if you do not follow through with your development.
Yeah, and you're talking about the adjacent property, which I think is 22 West
22, yep.
Yeah, yes.
Yep.
Let me just preface this by saying, even though I'm a lawyer, not that kind of a lawyer, I would just need to get our lawyer to look it over. But I can tell you that sounds totally reasonable. As I understand it, we're talking about the property I think is being, available for $4,300. But yes, I don't see a problem with that. And I can also tell you that we are a nonprofit. We're mission based, but we are solvent. I've never laid anybody off. Just to give you an example, we have a budget. My annual budget is about $10 million. We have about 124 employees, and we've grown. I was hired to actually to kind of save it. We were in the red. We had 18 employees. We saw 2,000 patients a year. Now we see 40,000 patients a year. So, just a little more to put your minds at rest that we are a solid organization, and what you say sounds reasonable to me. And so I can't imagine it wouldn't be a problem, and we would just have it reviewed by our lawyer and my board of directors.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm pretty sure, I'm not going to speak for this council, but everybody here is very proactive and progressive and loves seeing new development coming in. So I believe you'll find a lot of support inside our community.
Absolutely.
The one thing I do want to say to you all is we have a purchase agreement in place for 20 West Lake Street. We had a building inspection, and so in that it's in place. There's a 15-day window during which we're doing a building inspection, and we did decide to do an appraisal because there are some, we're just not 100% sure of which systems are in place and which aren't. I can just get in the weeds a little bit. When the building inspector went there, the gas was turned off to the property, so we couldn't tell if the HVAC works, yada yada. So we're still in this process. In the unlikely event that we're not able to back the building, then it wouldn't make sense for us to purchase the lot next door. So, I just wanted to say, to put that out there, that, our only hesitation on following through with it is going to be if we can't get 20 West Lake Street, but we're really hoping. And it looks like, everything's in place for that to move forward.
Excellent. Travis, do you have a?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, because working at the school, I know how big this is going to be, and I don't get the opportunity to work at the K3 school as much as I do at the high school level, but this is going to be a game changer for our kiddos at the school. So thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you for saying that. And one other thing I want to say is that we're Children's Dental Services, so our mission is kids, but this facility will be open to people of all ages, family members, people of all ages. We know that kids are more likely to get in to see the dentist if their adult can go to, and that's a change we made during the pandemic because families don't want to have to go, everyone was worried about exposure. You don't want your kid to go one place, you go another. So everyone will be able to be seen at this clinic if they want to be.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yep. Any other questions, concerns? If not,
Marty has one.
Perfect. All right, so, what's that?
I think Marty had something.
I guess with the status that was here, I'm wondering if this shouldn't be contingent on them getting their approval to purchase 20 West and contingent on an agreement for 22 West.
Are you an attorney also? That's what.
I didn't see a lip moving at all. I couldn't hear you either.
No, absolutely. So I would look for a motion to approve this with the addition of a development agreement and a contingency. You know, so if anything that did not go through with 20 Westlake Street, that you wouldn't be obligated at 22.
Honestly, maybe they can fit their whole project on 22. I don't know.
No. Right. So I'll look for that motion.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Support.
Thank you, Travis. Any further discussion?
What's their timeline, they say,
Sarah, what's your timeline?
if this is all approved?
So, on the purchase agreement, don't quote me on this, but I think that the 15 days would be up in the purchase agreement around August 25th. So it's going to be late this month that we will be able to finalize it. And then right away, we will be looking for an architect to develop the site, or to make the plan for development. Because as a nonprofit, we look for other sources of funding. So we're gonna see if this site would be eligible for our consideration from the Minnesota Historical Society, and if so, we would get in queue to get funding there. If not, then we would seek other sources of funding. My guess is that the entire project from start to finish would be 12 to 24 months. That's what we're seeing. This building started to plan, and then it's taken about a year to you hear it has a vision. It's bigger. Old buildings, like you've seen one old building and you've seen one old building. I feel like I've become my own general contractor. The truss was rotten, the roof, they had a whatever. Our sewer pipe, when they went to rotor in, it didn't connect. And actually that's one thing I want to know about this building. There's been a question about whether the sewer pipe's up to code. So sorry to get into a long answer to what seems like a simple question, but I mean, it's going to depend on how much this building needs and if we can secure historic funding. If we can get it on the MHS funding, that's a really great thing for us sustainability wise. I will share with you that we have the cash for this purchase, so we're bringing cash to the table. So there's nothing, we're not waiting on financing or anything. Does that answer your question?
Yep.
Yeah, roughly. So I would probably put, I would offer that, the development by January 1 of 2027, or January 5 of 2027. That gives 2 years, 24 months. A couple extra, because obviously planning and construction, going through this and the funding sources. I'm not sure how everybody else thinks, but, that gives them time to complete the purchase, architectural, get into work by, early next, 2025. And then gives them all of 2025 and 2026 to complete.
Yep. Good plan.
Any other input?
I'm not sure if I'm comfortable with 24. I think we should give them a little buffer. I mean, something could happen. I mean, if it's a year of planning and stuff.
Well, yeah, actually, so 2027, that gives them an extra, so it's not 24, it's also September, October, November, December. So it gives them an extra.
Extension.
Yeah. So that's like 28 months if you give them till 2027.
Do you feel comfortable with that? Do you feel comfortable with that, Sarah?
I would love it if we could have 30 months, if that sounds reasonable. And again, I'd be happy to provide you references, or, I understand that you want to make sure that somebody's doing what they're supposed to do with the property. The difference about my kind of business is, as a nonprofit, I speak to a board of directors, they review everything. We get, I'm going to be applying for sources of funding. I will tell you that I already have a grant for about $160,000 for the equipment. So we're serious about this. We started, raising the funds, but if we're talking about a completion date, I would love it if we could have 30 months. And then I would ask this, like, let's say that I find on the Iron Range that one of the hardest things is workforce and of all types. I'll tell you that when I was trying to get a structural engineer to look at this site with me, I brought up the guy I know from Duluth because I had a hard time finding somebody. And I've been in conversation with Aaron as we go through this. Like, we want to hire locally, so I'd like a local architect, a local construction company. The trades are just backed up and crazy in terms of getting people to work. That's my view. That's what we're experiencing in Duluth. It's what we're experiencing in our other locations. So all this to say, if we have a plan in place and we're all framed up, but like the insulation guy was delayed or whatever, if you see good progress, is there also the opportunity, like, could we go with 30 months with like an opportunity for a progress report and an extension if it's reasonable to show, you know, due diligence and that we're doing what we said we would do?
Oh, absolutely. We did the same with Melhorns, and they said you're gonna find a lot of support here. You know, so, but yeah, so either January instead of January, March, or if you just put 30 months from.
Yeah, let's say 30 months from the time the agreement is finalized.
Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So we look for, who made that motion?
I'll make it.
I thought we had.
Oh no, Cheyenne made it.
Cheyenne made it.
You supported it.
30 months from the date of the agreement signing?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Cheyenne. Thank you, Jed. Thank you, council. Any further discussion?
And we checked the $4,300, that's the assessed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Sarah. Congratulations.
Thank you all so much, really appreciate it.
Okay. Moving on.
Okay, the next thing I have on the agenda is resolution number 082462, authorizing the city of Chisholm to request the transfer of ownership of lot 24, 25, and 26, block 20, Chisholm, for the use of housing rehabilitation. This has come to council once already before. We have a partnership with IRRR, AEOA, and obviously the city of Chisholm, for a rehab program for tax forfeited residential property. This is the residential property that we will be utilizing. We will acquire the property and then we will go ahead and then it will go to AEOA, who will start the construction process. It's being funded by IRRR, it's a pilot program. Then that home will get fixed up, ready to go back on up for sale, and it will be sold for workforce housing. So what we're looking for is approval to acquire the property and be able to start the process.
Great news, and it's always great when they want to utilize Chisholm for these projects. Instead of ripping one down, build one up. And council, I'd look for a motion and support for resolution 0824-62.
Make that motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Support.
Thank you, Jed. Any further discussion?
I just have a question, Mr. Mayor. Steph?
Yes.
How much money do we have to put into it? Is there any money that we have to
The
put
cost
into
of
it?
this, I was just gonna get to that, I'm sorry. The cost of the property is $3,180.
And that's probably coming out of the EDA funding?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any further questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item I have on the agenda is the architectural pre-design contract with Architecture Advantage. We have been working on the bonding dollars we've received for renovation of the downstairs of City Hall. I have gone back to the legislators and had law changed so we can use pre-design in this, for this project. That was kind of what was holding us up before. I was notified by MMB that we will have to do a pre-design, which does put you into B3. So I've worked with Melissa from Architecture Advantage. She's is very familiar with B3 and what that means, and we have decided that best case scenario is probably to start there, because we cannot do the pre-design packet until we have an architecture on working on the project because the majority of the things we have to fill out come from them. So what we have decided is the pre-design and schematic design, architectural and interior design services, combining efforts to minimize additional costs so we can move forward. So what we really need to understand is what is the scope, where does B3 gonna fall, what's the wish list, and what can really be accomplished in that space. So this would be the first steps for that. The things I do feel comfortable going with this architect is their familiarity with using the B3 process and the pre-design process and what those requirements are. You'll also see in here that they will meet with, SHPO will probably become involved. This building is in a historic district, so that will open up that also.
Where's the money coming from?
The money is coming from the bonding.
Perfect.
Yeah, because I changed the legislation so we can use it for the design phase now.
Excellent. Good work. Yes. All right, council, I would look for a motion to enter an agreement with Architecture Advantage for the pre-design of the Lower City Hall.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Marty.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
The next thing I have on the agenda, thank you for including this. I met with IRRR today, and they said they needed to get this resolution as soon as possible because we'll be moving forward with the funds that we received. So we're looking for approval for resolution number 0824-46. Just to refresh your memory, it was a total grant of $2.72 million. 1.52 million will go to the Ice Arena Curling Club, and 1.2 million will go for the start funding of the new public works facility.
That's this one here, right?
Wait, where is this?
Oh, here it is.
It was an addition, yeah.
Hey, council, so I would look for a motion for 0824-67.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Can you repeat those dollar amounts?
2.72 is the total grant.
Okay.
1.52 is for the Ice Arena Curling Club. 1.2 is for the new public works facility.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
That's why she asked.
Yeah, it wasn't required by the bond council.
Make a motion.
We're looking for support. Cheyenne.
Support, sorry.
No? Thank you, Judd.
I'll second.
We're good. Sorry, there's a little back and forth
Lots of
there.
support here. Lots of support here.
That's
Lots of support here.
what we told Sarah.
All third.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. We got a form here again. Bill Perkovich from Sidelines had come and what did I do with my sheet? There we go. Looking for a street closure, looking to block off 200 block from 2 p.m. until 12:30 a.m. Or is it midnight? 12:30 midnight. Yeah. They will, let's see here, get some barriers up, beanbag tournaments. So Damages is the band from 9 to midnight. Citywide festival for his 15-year anniversary. 21 and older at 9 p.m. and he will have people checking IDs. Did Dylan speak with you?
He did not.
Okay. Do you see any issues with this?
My only question is he's requesting a block party. What we've done in the past, and it's been a while since we've done a block party, but what we had in the past, and I can talk to him and see, he's talking about checking IDs and making sure 21 are in. What we did in the past is on each entrance of the street, we had the bar themselves, we blockaded and had just entrances in, so anybody coming from either direction had to stop by someone who was carding and wristbanding, and that was on the establishment to do that. That way, making sure it was 21 and so. And that's what it looks like he wants to do. Bartending, it says only, or carding and saying only 21. So I can call him and see if how he wants to do that. So.
Yep. I imagine it gets a little tricky having a few different establishments sharing the block there between Snickers and people coming and going. So I would look for a motion to approve. I mean, obviously, it's good that somebody's, continuing to do, fun activities in town. Obviously, the nearest street next to him is third on that, so that doesn't really work. But as long as, I would say that he would have to make Vern comfortable with it. That'd be part of my motion. And, but I would look for that support. I'm not sure what your thoughts.
Here. I'll make that motion.
Thank you, April. Do we have support?
I'll second.
Thank you, Marty. Any further discussion?
So let me be clear. I have no issue with this. I fully support it. But past precedent is that we don't let music be loud past 11 p.m.
Was it 11 o'clock? Is that what it was outside the gyms?
Is that what we want for gyms?
Yeah.
Is it?
Then
Okay.
I think we need to be consistent and have the same expectation here.
Yep.
Thank you for reminding us.
April, are you fine with amending your motion?
No, I think I need to have it till 12 in the morning.
I mean, I don't care.
I mean,
Like
it's
I
still
said,
summertime.
it doesn't matter to me. I'm just
It's
saying
still
that
summertime.
that's
September 14th.
you know,
Oh, yeah.
School is in session.
You're right, okay,
Past
I'll amend it. Okay, that's the only way you got me to work around that one.
It's for the kids, right?
It's for the children.
It's for the kids.
8 to 11?
8 to 11.
8 to 11? Marty, you okay
Citywide
with that?
festival.
Citywide festival,
8 to
absolutely.
11, yep.
And as long as Vern works things out.
Well, it gives them time to get everybody off the street before they start closing it off too, so.
Perfect.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in,
Vern, sorry.
no, good.
You don't see any conflict. I mean, it's a citywide festival anyway, so really, I don't think there'd be any, but people coming out of Snickers or coming up the block from gyms.
Well, once it's a citywide festival, so.
I mean, the whole check-in ID thing
This is going to be an interesting way of doing it. Normally on a block party, and we had it before with Tom and Jerry's block, when they had just that same block that we're looking at this time, but all the bars were kind of in on it. So they didn't allow outside alcohol to come in. That was their rule, and they controlled who came in at those entrances. So I guess my question, this is, if those other establishments aren't on board and aren't putting into it, and it's just him, you have another establishment halfway, right across the street from them, basically not Snickers, Dome.
They don't.
So, I guess the question will be, how does he expect to control that? And in the past, we have designated a citywide festival to an area. So you could say that the citywide festival would be that block, so no alcohol would be coming in. But no alcohol coming out of another bar that's already contained in that area? I don't really know how that can't be allowed, but I guess we'll have to talk.
I talked to him, it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
You can stand in front of Snickers with a beer if you want, so.
In between the barriers.
Yeah, I just don't want someone to come out of the dome and then not have a wristband on and then get,
Kind of sounds like you're gonna have to block off at the sidewalk, if you want to get into the festivities, but again, do you need to enter at that point? I mean, it's,
Right, and that's always the one issue is people coming through the other buildings.
So last year, Tom and Jerry's had a party in front of their place, right? The big band was there, right? That was Citywide Festival. That was Tom and Jerry's put it on. They put the majority of the bill, and outside alcohol from any other bar was allowed.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably what we're gonna be looking at.
Yeah.
I mean, if he wants to set up something that entices people to buy from his establishment, that's gonna be up to him.
Yeah, I don't believe he's going to be checking everybody's ID out in the street. Whoever's going to purchase from his establishment.
That was my question when he said block party, because we used to have block party rules. So this is 14, 15 years ago. Yeah, snow fencing, that was actually, we went from street dance rules to block party rules. And those were the established, and then all the bars were like, this ain't worth it, and they were doing it. But if you say citywide festival, yeah, then people can walk up.
Right. So just citywide festival on that block.
But you can do that as well, but then people can't, they can come in from Sweden, but not from gyms.
Right.
So within the barriers.
Yeah.
There we go.
Right.
Then he can establish where he wants those barriers. So if it's just up from Tom and Jerry's, it doesn't affect Tom and Jerry's.
Fair enough.
Sounds like a fun time. That's gonna.
Fair enough.
All right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Kudos to them.
Yeah.
Go
Congrats
Dylan.
on
Another fun
15
thing.
years.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Fishing with Vets annual over here. All right, y'all have the flyer. We heard Bob Stearns when he came earlier and spoke. Again, the 11th annual Mud Fest, great festivity. Everybody loves taking part. They do a lot for the community. You know, a lot of things to do. So, you know, I would look for a motion to approve the request.
Make that motion.
Hold on. We're talking about,
Thank you, Jed. Hold on, there's room for discussion. But was the music till? There's a street dance, right?
Side street.
Side Street. That's right. Is there a time on there for the band?
That's what I'm looking for right now.
I see.
11:45.
We'll just have to let them know to be off. The band's done by 11.
Yeah.
I was actually, when I talked to Bob, and this is before first I saw Dylan's request is when I got the council packet, but I was like, do we have to do any band? Can you just put it inside? He goes, I already have it set up. And I'm like, can we move it off the lake? Because when we have a couple blocks shut down for that, it takes more people. And
A lot of work.
It's really getting tired overtime right now. And although we're up full staff, we're not fully staffed yet. And so they slid this side street so it'll be easier to contain and control. But we can definitely tell them it has to be the noise ordinance that we've been practicing at 11.
Okay. So we
Page
had a
123 has 11 p.m.
11 p.m. Okay.
It's 5 to 11, so they must have 2 bands.
We're
Perfect.
asking permission to extend until midnight.
Yep.
Band hours are 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. So, all right. We have a motion by Jed.
Support.
Support by Travis. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next up, 30 West Fitness and Rec request regarding sewer line repair costs. So we have some information here. I believe there was a letter also, and I believe, Jim, did you leave one of these for every counselor also? Okay, so obviously with 30 West, having some issues here. Just a couple things I want to clarify, because obviously we want to make sure that we're doing consistent by our citizens and our businesses. Everybody knows that we did create a policy back in 2020, I believe it was. And, it decreased every year. Basically, when they did a project in the early 2000s, the sewer laterals weren't done as we would say up to par, I guess. Maybe there's a 4-inch main, they're tying to an existing 6-inch main. So obviously with those, we had a large influx every year. The city was paying for these, so we did create a policy. Because obviously, after 20 years, how much of this is just happening because of, stuff over time. I did talk with Mandy and Jim. So they were never notified of when the sale takes place in Chisholm, you are required to have your sewer lateral inspected. But that is not the city that takes that, because we are not monitoring sales of the community. So that's for the realtors, and mostly because of the should be on the backs of the title companies that know what our policies are in town. So they weren't made aware of this issue until 2023, I believe it was. So we had some different things. And so Nick's here, he can answer any questions and we can speak to this. So when we kind of look through what happened here with the property, you know, obviously it was inspected, or they say it was televised. They had Roto-Rooter come out and clear out, you know, hydroblasting, cleaning out roots and everything else that went on here. And you'll see that they have a cost listed of, you know, $4,800 to clean that out. And then below that is your jackhammering, your flooring, your inlets. So basically, when we are here today, we're kind of talking if we're looking at extending that sunset, you know, in 2024, it's 0%. In 2023 is 25%. I believe they did bring this back up to Jim and Mandy in 2023. So if you want to extend that, you know, and allow them in under that window of the 25%. I was trying to find other businesses that did take advantage of the 25% in 2023. In 2022, you know, who was at 50%. The only ones that I can remember, the last one I believe was Valentini's. I believe we remember that one. That was kind of a, you know, it was up in the air because it was over a weekend. You know, they had business running, so they kind of didn't approach the city first. They just had it done and came and asked for forgiveness after, and we did work with them a little bit on that. Talking with Jim, he does not believe that the $4,800, you know, cleaning of the sewer lateral and removing debris is part of the city line. You know, that looks like that's probably everything that's under the existing business, which is not the city's. You know, so if it's coming through that 6-inch zone, you know, that's not exactly something that we would take part in. You know, it's from the property line to the city. So we would be looking at the cost of the $4,300 to, you know, help with that if we were to extend, you know, or to grandfather them into the 2023, or if we would look at extending that 25%, you know, furthermore to other businesses that are coming on here. But again, this is a 20-some-year-old infrastructure. It's aging. Everybody's been using it. So if they hadn't come, that was the initial thought when we had brought this policy forward. You know, if it's worked for 20 years, you know, it sunsets eventually. So my opinion, you know, I would be fine extending the 25% because they did come in 2023 to discuss and look into this. But again, I wouldn't look at anything more than that because otherwise we're going to be going back 20 years to make sure that everybody has received the same type of kickback or assistance. So I'm not sure any other questions Jim might be able to answer, or Nick if he has any input here, you know, or what your opinions may be.
Mr. Mayor, should we run this back to the PUC for their approval first before make a final decision?
I'm not sure if the Valentini's one came through.
That's what I
with
would
that.
It was all part of that policy that you've got in front of you. They went through the PUC first and then came to City Council for adoption on, was it July of 2021? That's on your resolution right there.
Right.
So you're asking if we should send it back to the PUC to see if there's any thoughts of them extending the 25%,
right,
or that?
Yep.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Do the funds come out of general or do they come out of the public utilities to reimburse the businesses?
I have no idea.
We'd have to,
all of that.
that might be the deciding factor if it goes back to PUC, if it's an enterprise fund. I'm sorry, I don't have that information off the top of my head.
Okay.
Well, I don't I do not believe that Valentini's came through the PUC. I'm almost 100% sure
It did
that
not.
wasn't talked about by us.
So long ago.
Because the policy was in place at that point.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess my question would be, well, why is this different? Why would we send this through the PUC? That makes no sense to me. That's just my opinion. If it was public utilities money, it would have come from the PUC the last time. Would it not have to have had PUC approval to spend the PUC money?
I think there needs to be more research done.
Not if it's a policy.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure we're uniform with everybody. That's all.
That's right.
Standing for all of them.
Because this goes outside the policy by extending it.
And the policy came from the PUC.
Well, it was a
So-
recommendation through the PUC.
Right.
Yep.
So if there's going to be...
Marty, I'm sorry, Chad. I mean, good job.
No, I was just thinking out loud. So if there's going to be a decision on whether there's going to be an extension on policy, it should go back to PUC. Is that what we're saying, or it shouldn't go? Council can make that decision.
I'd be fine making the decision at the council level.
PUC would just be a recommendation.
Well, I'd like to know what we did for Valentini's and what year was that? That's what I want to know.
50%, and that was in 2022 in accordance with the policy that you have in front of you.
And I was talking to Denise earlier. She had mentioned 123 Lake Street had also had took advantage of the 25%, but I guess since it was under policy and they did everything, it didn't have to come to the council. It was just moved through because that was part of the policy. And she did believe that there was one other one, Iron or one of the realtors, Iron Country, had also taken advantage of the 25%.
Well, I agree with you. I guess my thought would be they did have communication in 23, so I think I would be fine with the 25.
25% of the $4,300.
That's a good question. So your judgment is that the 4,800 is not part of the city. You don't believe that would be city responsibility?
We had that discussion of Stephanie, Mandy, and I yesterday or today regarding that. I know that the sanitary sewer was put in too small. It was a 4-inch line, but it is new PVC that went from the main to the property line or the building front. And that's all that we have jurisdiction on when we do the televising. We have, comes up, once it gets to the building foundation, it goes into the building code, and we have no control, no authority on that.
Sure.
Right. And their letter that you have on page 126, it indicates, not specifically, we, with the televising and the cleaning and stuff that was done by Roto-Rooter and so forth, we have never seen any televising of any of that line. We have nothing in our files or in our computers seeing what's even there, but we're confident that it's PVC to the property line. And typically what happens in these cases is just inside the building, then they'll hire a plumbing contractor to come in, install a new clean out, just a pipe coming to the surface that makes the transition from the 6-inch cast iron inside the building to the 4-inch PVC, such that if there is a bottleneck, some type of a blockage, it's easily cleaned. So from this letter, it's my impression that the real problems are inside that building, for which we have no responsibility, no liability, in my opinion.
Ms. Mayor?
Oh, hold on, Marty.
I don't agree. The city of Chisholm and their engineers at the time approved the design of the 4-inch going to the 6-inch. Huge mistake, because nothing but problems for 20 years. And it's that connection from the 4 to the 6 that causes the problem every time in every building. It's happened all up and down that street. There's places where they didn't even connect the sewer to buildings, and people found out later on that their sewer wasn't even connected. So a 4-inch pipe is fine, but the connection is where the problem is, and the city made that connection.
Can be
and their expenses started as early as 2022, and we have a policy that the whole line needs to be televised when a property changes hands or gets sold.
Correct.
So that should have been all televised in 2018 or 19 when the building was and it may have identified that at the time. And anybody televising that would say, well, you got a problem right there. So we require everybody else to televise and submit to the city when a sale takes place.
So
what?
Pretty closed without that happening.
So where was the disconnect there? Why didn't that
With
happen?
the realtor or title company, the property owner has some information on that.
So, I mean, they noticed a problem early on. You started getting expenses in 2022. And I understand the policy is to try to shed our liability on this issue. But nonetheless, it was the city and its engineers allowed this all to happen. And it's been problem after problem after problem after problem ever since. How it slipped through this way and how it ever got approved, don't know. But the fact of the matter is, it happened, and it's caused nothing but problems for the last 24 years, 23 years.
Ms. Frank? As I had a moment to quickly read through the entirety of the information provided to us, it does, from my understanding, indicate in 2 of the numbered points that this would go to the Public Utilities Commission. Number 3 and number 6 each make a reference that it would go to the Public Utilities Commission before then having a recommendation brought to the City Council.
Yeah, the policy in terms of them getting an estimate and then digging through them.
Just come on up.
Sure.
Please.
Mayor, thank you. My name is Nick Chiliati. I'm one of the owners of 30 West. So to clarify, Jim, on your point, the understanding was when we had Northern Lining come out that there was no way to do it without ripping up the whole floor of the basement.
Correct.
That our line comes down, and the issue was in fact at the interchange where it comes to Main Street, which is where the sewer line is. So hence $9,100 compared to previous approvals from the council on ways to address this with the businesses from the areas that have been made previously. Is that they have to basically go from the back of our building to the front. And that includes taking out concrete, and that's why it's so expensive to do. I guess if I could just express to you guys where we came from with this is that when we purchased the building, the area was already known. And so we feel like we really were in the dark on this. So I certainly understand the policy that the city's made in terms of trying to figure out a way to address that. We can't keep paying for these forever. City taxpayers don't want to do that, and I understand that. I think the concern from our end was, hey, maybe we would address this right away had we known. Now we're in a situation in which financially, that's not necessarily an option to do that on our own right away. And so we were asking for the city's financial assistance in doing that, simply because we would have known had the proper steps taken place in the first place.
Can I ask you how you guys bought the building? So, you know, obviously it's policy that it gets scoped, you get your sewer lateral done, and...
Yeah, so there's very little documentation, which is not helpful to our case, of course, but very little documentation of any issues on either no issue with the sewer line or issue with the sewer line. So, of course, I combed through everything we have to try to find out how things went through there. And at the time, I know we had Steve Erickson, who was in charge of buildings at the time, in our building and looking at things, but we don't really have solid documentation on, you know, this passes, this doesn't. And so that's the frustrating thing for, I'm assuming, you guys as well as us.
So you don't recall having it scoped?
And a video?
Or videoed?
No.
Did you buy it through a realtor?
Correct.
It's a realtor, and I'm surprised because this policy has been in place since 2006.
Right.
Yep.
In terms of the sewer lateral inspection and maintenance, and I think in the past few years when Mandy came on in October of 2018 as well, and we've seen probably less than a handful, probably 2 or 3 where it was a sale that we were not made aware of, and we therefore received no televising report. And that's what happened in this case. And Nick, I totally understand. And in your letter, you indicate that you had Roto-Rooter come in and do some televising, some cleaning and so forth. We have never seen or had no awareness of any of that happening. The first that we knew there was a problem up down Main Street of the 4-inch PVC being connecting into the 6-inch services coming out of buildings. But we did not know the specifics of your building, even when Roto-Rooter came in and did televising and cleaning and so forth. Mandy went through her computer, I went through our computer, our shared drives and so forth. We went through Mandy's project files or property ID files, and we find nothing in there regarding the sanitary sewer. And So, and as I explained, I'm confident from the as-built and so forth, that there was a 4-inch line, which was too small, that was brought up for your building permit. Typically, what we see Northland lining doing, or other contractors, is that they come just inside your foundation wall, right at the property line, break up your concrete floor like you're talking about, and install a clean out at that location, and then they just have to make the connection with 4-inch PVC pipe to get under the foundation to tie into our 4-inch PVC that's right at the property line. And right at the clean out is where it transitions from the 6-inch cast iron pipe or ductile iron pipe that you have inside your building to our 4-inch. But it's at such that at that bottleneck, if there is a problem with something getting caught crosswise, it can be easily and economically cleaned out and resolved. Typically, if there's not much more usage of the property, as long as the inverts of that 6-inch and the 4-inch line up, it's not a problem. It can make the transition. In a case like yours that I think you well document in your letter, you've got extensively more usage of the sanitary sewer facilities than what existed there before. I guess the real point I'm trying to make is there was an issue at the point of sale where our policy requires that that sewer be televised either by city crews or by a private crew, that it gets brought to the city. Mandy and I do those reviews and issue a report, and that work has to be done within a few months, and it's just really up to the buyer and sellers to agree as to who's going to pay for that bill, if it's in the purchase price or however that's handled. We have seen nothing in the way of a televising report on any of that. But from what I see in your letter and from the estimate coming from Northland, it appears to me that all this cleaning the first portion, the clean entire sewer lateral, removing all roots and debris, and installing a new liner, all has to be within the building, because we've got new PVC that I'm confident doesn't have roots or problems within our right of way. But it's the second portion in terms of making that new transition just inside your foundation with that clean up that I think is plausible if we want to go back, and because we found out about this in late 2023, and I think Andy responded to you that if the work was done in 2023, that there was a 25% eligibility on the eligible cost. And it's just a matter of, since we knew it at that point, but the work, as I understand, has not yet been done.
That's correct.
So it'd just be, I guess, the olive branch is what I would call it at that point. But I think there's some real culpability on the behalf of either the realtor or the title company, who was ever responsible for getting that sewer line televised, that it wasn't corrected at that time where it could have been 100% reimbursable. End of my sermon. I apologize.
No, that was good.
Marty, to your point, we do have a letter that we received from Hewlin Brothers, who was the contractor on that project, and they were specifically directed, and they were providing not only the design but the inspection on that project, and they specifically required the contractor to install it with 4-inch services. I have gone back through and I got documentation that I gave to the council, I think 4 or 6 years ago, regarding this, and I had gone through the original construction plans, specifications, and then pay applications and so forth, and there's nothing ever brought forth that changed from a 4-inch service to a 6-inch service, which I think there was culpability on behalf of that consultant, and they have never accepted any culpability on that. And I've got a letter from Hewlin Brothers, that was the contractor, that states that and has documentation as to being directed by that firm to do as was finally done and has been.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
I would make a motion to direct this to the PUC per the policy, stating that it would go through the PUC.
Okay, thank you, Counselor.
Question, Mr. Mayor?
First, let's see if we've got some support to go to the PUC, and then we'll have open it for discussion.
I'll support.
Thank you, Jed. Discussion? Yes, Marty?
So the Northland lining thing here says we clean the entire sewer lateral. Isn't the lateral from the main to the property?
I would have to get a definition. The lateral goes from our main to the building and into the building. We only have jurisdiction of what goes to the right-of-way line or up to the building or the
So it
right-of-way line.
says here that they had to clean the sewer lateral. What does that mean?
I didn't write the letter, I don't know. I'm assuming it had to be entirely within the building. I don't know whether that there would be any
Well,
roots or
isn't the
any...
definition of the lateral from the main to the property line?
I'm sorry?
Sewer lateral is defined as from the main sewer pipe to the property line. Is that the lateral?
Oh, sorry, next week.
No, I think to the residents, if I remember chapter 50.
Or all the way to the building?
Yes.
So in this case, it says they cleaned the entire sewer lateral, which would mean from the main to the building.
I don't know, I wasn't there, I've never seen anything documenting any televised.
That's what Northland Lining is saying in their cost estimate here.
No, I don't believe that to be true, Marty. I support Jim 100% on this. Everything that he said is accurate and true in my experience. This goes back 120 years of history, and the city never takes responsibility past the property line. And what Jim's stating is that from the property line to the main is PVC. It's no longer a problem. So there's no reason to clean it. So why would we pay for it? And Nick states much of the cleaning is under his building, which is all the owner's responsibility, always has been, always will be, probably.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
call the question.
So it's the connection. We have to remember, it's the connection that's the problem. Not Nick's roots under his building, not his cement floor. It's the connection.
It's always the
Thank you,
connection.
Colin. We'll take a vote. Susan, will you please take a roll call?
Yes. Counselor Halverson?
What are we voting on first?
Sending this to the PUC, we had a motion by Councilor Raha, Councilor by Oliva, and the call for question was just raised by Councilor Nicola Raha.
Counselor Halverson?
I don't even know what it says.
Well, if we're following the policy, it was supposed to go through the city PUC. And if we didn't do it before, then we didn't follow the policy before, so I guess now we're following policy.
Policy wasn't even followed with the sewer lateral even being televised to brought it to the city in the first place.
I don't know. I like yours. I don't know why we stopped discussing. I thought.
Right, I think it was a good conversation to have.
Whatever.
Am I continuing?
I'm gonna vote no.
No.
I'm gonna go by order.
Sure.
Counselor Nicola Raha?
Yes.
Counselor Fountain?
No.
Counselor Holova?
Yes.
Counselor Baki?
No.
Mayor Rance?
Yes. Motion fails. Okay, let's continue on with our conversation then.
Why does it pass?
It's 3-3.
3-3.
I said it failed.
Oh. I said it passed. We all heard it pass. I'm like, what?
Okay, can you please carry or continue
So I can understand this?
to?
If I may, so Larry's saying they cleaned the sewer lateral. There's nothing to clean on the city side because it's brand new PVC. There's no roots, there should be no debris. So any cleaning happened. As Nick had said, the clean out is on the very back side by the alley. So all the debris was in between the alley and the front street. Is that what you're saying, Larry?
Basically is what I'm saying, and if I could put it, if I would back up a little further. Nick knows this, you all would probably know this when I say this, that if there's a video, like there's supposed to be, even today, for this request, we would have the information we need. We do not have the video, nor do we have the video from Northland Lining to see whose responsibility is what. The city never takes responsibility past the property line. From the main to the property line, in this case, is probably 8 feet. Is it even, Jim? It's right there. The PVC is right there on the outside of the wall.
It's 0 feet, basically.
So
the $9,100 is just, we cannot gauge the amount of liability to the city, which is very, very little. I would, right off the bat, I would have supported the 25% of the 4,300 for around $1,000. But that's it. I would never go higher than that on this whole discussion. But we don't have the video, which is supposed to be submitted.
So I would say if you have the video, it's been scoped, it's been serviced. You said that they have televised it. I would make sure you get that to the city right away. I would also reach out to the title company that you went through to figure out why they didn't make sure that it was done properly. And I would also reach out to your realtor. I would think they would all have, some liability in this as well, because they have a policy that is supposed to be followed. I mean, basically, the city does not know when I sell my house to Chief Matter, right? There's nobody in the city watching that happen. So that's why there's a policy in place. The title companies around here, unless you use a title company far away from here, I can't imagine that happened.
Mr. Mayor, and kicking that to the PUC would allow us to get more information for everybody too, so, and help everybody out.
Yeah, and if I could, Jim, Larry, I mean, I think if there's any opportunity to learn more about what the true cost is, we're taking North of Mining's word here because they've done a lot of these, and so, I'm not an expert on this stuff. And so, whether that's what it costs, where the actual issue is, we're going off what these people are telling us. And so, if there's an opportunity to have that kind of feedback and another set of eyes on it, that would make us feel better too. I guess the main thing for us is to say, hey, look, we got a crappy situation here, literally. So let's get this figured out and maybe.
Larry, what do we charge for the televised lines? $100?
Yeah.
I would call Larry tomorrow and schedule a televised with
And then
Larry
you
for
can look at the
$100.
video, and then you have all the
There we
evidence.
go.
And that's what we do. And we work with the same
motion
contractor
to
that
table
does,
this?
and we send the crew out there, so.
Yeah, we'd be happy to do that.
And that's how the recommendation goes to the PUC, and then they talk about it, and they make a recommendation to you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yep.
Let me ask a question. So in 2022, they did televise? Roto-Rooter did televise?
Correct.
Okay.
We had that because we were having quite a bit of issues, and we're like, well, let's get this resolved ourselves, not knowing that it could potentially, and then Roto-Rooter.
Well, that video should be reviewed by Jim and Larry. And Mandy, the 2022 video should be reviewed
That's
by
what we were
Jim and Larry.
hoping for,
And then
something.
if you had one
So
televised
do you
in
have that video
2019.
that you paid for?
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to find it.
Yeah, that's really what we're looking for here.
Yeah,
Do you have it?
I would like to have it done, yeah, even if it costs $100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just think that.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice to compare the one from 2022 to
the current.
Yeah.
Either way, I believe that we should be sending this back with more information to the PUC.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Do we need a motion to send this back to the PUC, or are we gonna hear this ourselves?
Per the policy, I think it's supposed to go to PUC, and I understand that we didn't follow the policy previously, and I think that could
Well, and
be for a few reasons.
I would actually like verification if we did or not. When Valentini's came, it was 2 years ago. A lot's happened since then.
Well, Mayor, if I may, if we're continuing discussion to the next meeting or to a future date, I don't think there would necessarily need to be a motion to follow the policy and have the PUC take it up at their meeting, assuming they have a meeting in between ours.
Means next week, right? Yeah, next week.
You're welcome to go to the PUC. We don't have to tell them to do it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. All right, Council, I would like to discuss a working session, moving the employee gym, equipment to the vacant ambulance building, ordinance regarding holiday decorations, and a peddler's license. I'm gonna give you a little background on the holiday decorations.
It's not gonna be peddler's license.
What's it gonna call it? Well, the right to have a food truck on city property in town. We talked about that under miscellaneous. I brought it up one night. It looked like it was, supported by everyone. So I would like that to come to a working session so we can actually come up with what we would like that to look like. As far as the holiday decoration, so again, just doing due diligence when people bring complaints. Normally, if there's not a lot of them, if people aren't willing to have written complaints at City Hall to come and talk to people, I'm not sure exactly how valid they are. I have had a couple different complaints from individuals. I did reach out to a couple of them and followed up. One complaint, in my opinion, I can't say that I agreed, but I'm not the one that looks at, these instances every day. And the other home I went to was very intimidating, and I thought I was in jeopardy by being there. I talked with Vern, I checked it out, I talked with Brian. There's different things that I think there's a reason we have ordinances, and I think one of these homes is a reason that we would have an ordinance. So that's why I wanted that on there. And just so when people know that they are bringing us issues, sometimes they don't want to address the whole council. Like Mayor Champa used to say, sometimes the mayor gets more phone calls and they think that things get solved easier. I disagree. I did advise the individual to reach out to the entire council or come to City Hall. I had some expletive words thrown my way, but regardless, I still think it's something that we should discuss. And adding the sister city to the working session, again, so this is something out of Norway? Slovenia, for discussion. So, I'm not sure the council's availability. I don't think anything on here is a rush. Correct, Steph? So I'm not sure if the council would like to add this on to after the September 11th meeting, kind of the different, sessions we've had. What do you think?
For a separate meeting.
Yeah. So in order to get enough information as far as the licenses, Ryan, we're going to be looking for you for that information. How long do you need? For the peddler's license or whatever we decide to call it.
If you give me some guidance on what you need, I can have it within a few days to a week.
Okay. What's the last week August look like for council?
We have a meeting on the 28th.
We do not have a meeting on the 28th, but I have a volleyball match. But
I can't on Monday the 26th.
You can't?
Cannot.
Cannot, okay. How does Tuesday look? August 27th.
I'm good with that.
I'm okay with that.
You good? April?
No, I don't even know. But let's just put it on there.
Okay, I'll look for a motion to schedule a working session on August 27th. Does 5 p.m. work for everyone?
Yes. I'll be a little
5 p.m. to discuss moving the city gym, decorations, licenses, and sister city designation. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Support.
Thank you, Jed. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Any miscellaneous?
Yes, I have something.
Okay.
So part of this thing with the sewer application was this, and it's not readable. Can we get a legible copy of this 2015, or permit number 2015? Either,
Those yours?
yeah, I don't know where it came from, but it's.
I'm sure we should have record of it too, Mandy, if you can find
I
that.
guess in general, particularly color copies in our packet are virtually unreadable. Fine print, blotchy colors, they're almost impossible to read, so it's hard to really grasp a lot of things in the packet, so I don't know if it's our machine or what, but we need to do a better job at just the presentation in these packets. It's been for a while, and I was told before it was our machine, it just is old and it doesn't do a very good job. And get a new machine or get it fixed so we can get better information.
Yeah. Obviously something to budget too. I bought one, they're about $15,000, so. Yeah, you're right.
There's lease packages too, where you just lease it and then the maintenance and the replacements are all taken care of as part of the lease.
Perfect. Okay, we look for a motion to adjourn?
Okay, one more thing.
Yes?
As far as our new generator, the public safety building, do we have a plan, like a maintenance plan or maintenance intervals kind of thing? Did the manufacturer give it to us at all? Do you know?
I can contact Brendan on that.
Okay.
Put fuel in it today.
Nice.
Getting close.
I think the test runs this week.
Yeah,
Excellent.
Test runs this week.
we'll get back to you on that. Jeff.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Thank you, Jed. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.